Hello and welcome to La La Land on LA Talk Live. I'm your host, Brett Chapin. Thanks for joining us on La La Land. This is the only nationally broadcast show by Los Angeles artists about Los Angeles artists. And we have two incredible Los Angeles artists with us today.
Indeed.
We have Joy Meads of the Center Theater Group.
Hello.
Hello. And Jamison Haase of LA On Camera.
How you doing? Nice to see you guys.
Hey, Jim.
Thank you.
And before we even get to you two, let me introduce our guest co-host for today, Peter Miller, actor and vocalist.
Yay! Thank you.
Today's guest co-host is a bona fide dude.
That's right. The only dude of the six.
The
of
only
you.
one, yes.
Yes.
But yeah, I was really looking forward to this, and I'm this is going to be a blast.
It is,
It's
yeah.
going to be an absolute blast.
I'm excited to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. So
Awesome.
there we go.
Well, while we're on the subject of you,
Great segue.
Well, it's talking
Yeah,
about
that was
me.
I
fantastic.
know I'm known for my segues around here. Tell our audience a little bit about you. You are the third finalist in our co-host search, co-host finalist number 3. And I'll just ask you the same question that I asked the other two. What do you think would make you an awesome co-host on La La Land?
I have been involved in the LA theater scene for roughly 25 years, like since I was a kid. My mom used to work for a theater company in San Gabriel that did really high quality stuff, and my friends will tell you, I will go all over the place to do a show. I've gone as far south as Santa Ana, as far north as Granada Hills, as far west as Pacific Palisades, as far east as Fontana, and it just, yeah, so I know a lot of people in the theater, in the art world.
That's the
art
thing.
scene.
You do theater in this town. There's a lot of driving involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Better have a good
Indeed.
car.
My-
Very cool.
My car has more miles on it than a lot of older cars because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And you've been doing theater in LA for 25 some odd years?
Yeah.
You also worked at Universal, right?
Yes, I was a tour guide on the tram at Universal Studios Hollywood, which was a really fun gig. Helped me make a lot of connections.
Sure.
I got a lot of friends there. I was in 5 episodes of a web series that a friend of mine is producing, which I will tell you more about later. And I've gotten some voiceover gigs from them. I've gotten some acting gigs from them. It's really a great place to make connections, and that place would bend over backwards for actors. If you had an audition to get to, or a rehearsal, or a gig, they would bend over backwards to help you get out of there so you could get to what you needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately can be like the real make it or break it kind of thing around any sort of day job.
Yeah, they never once gave you crap because you always had auditions coming up or this, that, or the other thing. They know we're all actors. They know we're all performers or writers or directors or something like that.
Yeah.
And they were fully prepared to help us out with that. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do you
Well,
have
so- I'm sorry.
I was
ahead,
gonna
Joy.
say, did you ever have a guest on your tram tour that tried to go rogue? That like tried to leave the tram?
Funny thing, I was towards the end of a tour. I was pulling up to the mummy's tomb, and a guy comes up and wants to get on my tram, Australian guy, and I'm like, sir, you need there was a production right over there, so I'm like, sir, you need a ticket. Like, ticket? What are you talking about? Ticket? I don't have a ticket. And I'm like, well, are you with that production company? Well, I don't know. And make a long story short, he ran away. We get back, and these 2 Aussies come up to me, and one goes, sorry, our mate was being such a so-and-so to you back then. And he gives me a $20 bill. Apparently, he had to go to the bathroom. He jumped off, went in the bushes, did it, and was trying to get, for all I know, he could still be wandering around out there. I have no idea what happened to him. He's probably got big hair, big beard, living in the bushes. And I who knows?
Full disclosure, I actually had started on the tram at one point. I came to visit before I even moved here. Started on the tram, me and some friends of ours, and we did sneak off. And we somehow weaseled our way. I couldn't take you back there even if I tried to. And weaseled our way into the park and had a fantastic day. You are not allowed to do this. You can't do this, Iris.
No, you
It's all
cannot.
been electrified.
Yeah, they will definitely pounce on you with the strength of 1,000 cheetahs, and you will be brought down if you try it, folks.
Yeah.
So do not try
Not
it.
allowed.
Yeah, we're all pointing at our respective cameras here.
The strength of 1,000 cheetahs. I like that.
I don't know where that came from.
It works.
It works.
Have you ever met a cheetah? They're strong.
Yeah, I have not met a cheetah, no. But I would be up for that. That would be good.
Yeah.
Haven't met any literal cheetahs yet.
Yeah, cougars, but not cheetahs.
Cougars, yes, definitely, but not cheetahs.
Awesome, Peter. Well, thanks for being here.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Excited to have you here, and we've got two awesome guests. Let's segue right over to them.
Cool.
We'll start with Jamison Haase of LA On Camera.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit
what's
about LA On Camera. Let's start there, and
All right. So
maybe how it got started and what you do there right now.
Okay, so I will try to keep it short because it's a bit of a long and involved story. I actually started as a student. I graduated with a BFA in theater from the University of Minnesota Duluth, and came out here and was really just kind of struggling a lot. Couldn't quite figure out what the issue was and things like that. Because I knew I had graduated, like I said, with a BFA. I knew I was a decent actor. I knew I could do what was being asked of me, but for whatever reason, it wasn't getting the response that I wanted. And I came out here strictly for film and television. So I'm going into those auditions, and it just wasn't happening, and couldn't figure out what that deal was. I met a woman named Wendy Davis, who then kind of took me under her wing and became my mentor. Mm-hmm. Wendy actually had gotten together and had done a lot of film and television work, and had gotten together with a couple of other directors and actors and producers, and had made kind of a school amongst themselves. And I started taking classes with them and spent about 1.5 years there before she asked me to assist. I said, great. She ends up booking a series regular job in Charleston, South Carolina, where she's been ever since. That was 6 years ago.
Wow.
About 5 years ago, I ended up buying it out from underneath hers, and I basically became the founder and head instructor. And all we do is audition technique and camera technique. We talk about script analysis. We talk about nervous tics, things like that. And that's all we do. There was a gap that I discovered coming out of especially coming out of my university training. I was a highly trained theater actor. Mm-hmm. That was their job. Mm-hmm. Sure. In that university, that was their job. But then I decided to come out here and work in film and television. I had no real idea what I was doing or how to do that.
Sure.
And so that the whole school, that's kind of like the credo of that school, is to fill in that hole in our training for those actors who come out here who don't have that skill. Because I liken it to the difference between French and Spanish. They come from the same place. They're different languages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we need to know how to speak both of those languages.
Whole world of difference when you're auditioning for theater and when you're auditioning for film. It's not even, I mean, it's the same ballpark, I guess, but not really.
Well, it's the same tools.
Yeah.
They're just, it's different work, it's much more detailed.
When I was in college, I took a film acting course, and if you've seen I'm doing great. The Michael Caine video.
Oh, yeah. I show it to my students.
Yeah, where he, a simple eye gesture could be as big as an arm thing on stage, and it's just a lot of us don't realize that unless we're told.
Well, and it's something that a lot of, and I was the same way. A lot of actors, I had been told for all of my college career, I needed to be bigger. I needed to be bigger. I needed to be bigger.
Got to play to the balcony, definitely.
Because I have to make sure, the blue-haired lady all the way out there in row XX, she can see and hear what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
What was he saying?
Exactly. And so then you come to realize that it's an audience of one.
Mm-hmm.
They can be as close as inches from your face.
Yeah.
But we as actors have this tendency to have tuned our instrument, so to speak, to have to always reach a back of a house, even when that back of the house is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so people will come in, and I was absolutely guilty of this. Come in and just blow the room out, thinking that this is my acting.
Yeah.
And it was great if I were in a 300 or 400 seat theater. It doesn't work so well when I'm in somebody's tiny office.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the X factor, I guess, that makes a casting director say, yes, I'm going to cast that person as opposed to this other person? Do you think there's a specific X factor, or does it kind of just depend on the actor?
If I really had to say, if I really had to say there was a thing, the only thing that I would say more than anything else would that it has to be confidence in yourself, confidence in that work. I talk about you've heard this before, and as an actor, I'm sure you've heard this before as well. As an actor, you need to know what you're selling, right? You are a product. You need to know what you're selling. And I tell my students, your audition is a product as well. You need to know what you're selling in that audition. And if you know what you're putting out there, you know you're communicating properly, you are giving the writer, the director, the producer what they're looking for. You're telling this story. Then you can be confident when you walk in that room. And you are going to perform in a fashion that I am here. This is what I have to offer. You'll either like me or you won't. And I can't control that. I can't control whether you're going to cast me or not. But I can show you what I have available. I can show you the skills and what I provide. Maybe you'll like that and maybe you won't. But I can't control that part. That confidence only comes in when you see somebody who walks into an audition who will abandon their choices or who will be nervous because they're making too much meaning out of this particular audition. It's make-believe. I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
What we do is make-believe. It's not rocket science. We're not saving anybody's lives.
Yeah.
Right.
So you've got to have that confidence and that sense of fun, I think, ultimately is what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's just a great Zen practice, just to remember, this is what I got. And that you don't.
It's good life advice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just it. I actually equate it to something that a lot of people have experience with. Is it's like a first date. And if you go on a first date with somebody who's like, I just want you to like me, just please, or whatever you want to do, because I'm just here to be with you. I want you to be like, I want to hang out with that person. Yeah. You're never going to go out on another date with that guy. You want to go out. You go out with somebody who says, this is me. I like you. I think you're great. This is what I have to offer. Maybe you'll like me too. If you don't, it's nothing personal. I know it's not about me. It just didn't work. And I will find somebody else, and so will you, and we can move on, and that's it.
I think that's really great because another thing that can come with that feeling of insecurity that you're bringing in is that you can unconsciously really want to show your work and what you're bringing to the role, to the people in the room. And actually, that's usually the last thing that you want to see, right? It wants to feel natural, and you want to feel like the script and the character coming through. You don't want to see that actor's work on top of the script and character.
Totally. Absolutely.
And we kind of talked a little bit in the pre-interview about the business side of acting. A lot of actors come here from other areas of the country, and they're very talented actors, but they don't quite grasp the business side. Can you speak a little bit to that? And
well, it's such an interesting thing because we're once again, we're so often we're trained to be a highly functioning artist, and it's very, very rare for any of us to understand. Like, I know it was a huge transition for me just to figure out exactly how to go about the business and how to keep in contact with people and things like that.
Sure.
But it's something that it's such a cliche. This is show business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You grimaced on your face, but it's true. It's
business.
It is. And so it's fantastically important to, for things like establishing your type, discerning what that type is, taking headshots in alignment with that type, meeting casting directors, staying in contact with whoever you meet, those contacts, whether they're directors or producers or writers or casting directors or whoever, staying on their radar in some fashion. via postcards, via email, what have you, your demo reel, all the huge proliferation of websites that are out there now for actors. The LA Casting and Actors Access and iActor, and it's Casting Frontier. It goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to you've got to be able to keep up with that, because ultimately it is your business. It's something that in a microcosm that really bothers me when I see an actor show up for an audition with their headshot and their resume separate.
Yeah.
And it's like,
one of those little things that makes a difference.
That is your business card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I pulled out my crumply pre-washed business card and was like, hold on, you can kind of make out the phone number right here. You know what I mean? It's like, who's going to hire that guy? Nobody. Nobody's going to hire that actor, because it immediately gives me a sense of how much you care. Mm-hmm. And it has to be a business.
There's 50 other actors out there that have this.
And you better believe, you better believe. With all the actors in Los Angeles, I speak at SAG fairly regularly. Mm-hmm. There's a guy who's like my connection there, who told me pre-merger there were roughly 200,000 SAG actors in Los Angeles.
Wow.
That's pre-merger.
Wow.
There's only about 350 maybe casting directors in Los Angeles. That's if you count their assistants and all their associates. So that competition is fierce, man. For any role, you're going to get 2,000 submissions.
It's like a decent sized city. That's like an Oakland of actors, right?
Yeah. There are more
actors.
actors in Los Angeles than there are students in all of San Francisco.
Wow.
Wow.
It's
That's
ridiculous.
amazing.
And there's 350 casting directors. That's it.
300.
If you count offices, if you count their associates and then their assistants, it works out to be roughly about 350. There's not that many.
I thought it was at least 600 or so, but
No.
yeah, it's less than you think.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
And of course, the people who have real authority in that group of 300 hire somebody
Seriously.
smaller percentage.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on casting director workshops? I have mixed feelings about those.
Yeah. You're not the only one.
Yeah. I think. Pay to audition and get a little bit, maybe a half an hour of instruction, and you pay $300. I think it's good in the sense that it's giving an actor experience, and it's giving them an opportunity to showcase their work.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of times it costs so much money that money could be put in other places. It could be put toward headshots or other things.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree with that. This is obviously a really controversial subject, and I fall on a side naturally, because I'm a human being. I have an opinion. I think casting director workshops are actually fantastically beneficial. Mm-hmm. The reason why I say this is because the vast majority of the work that I have gotten, the vast majority of the auditions that I get, I can trace back to I know someone in that room. Now, can I definitively say the person I met is the reason I got that job or the reason I got that audition? I can't. But I can say that the offices that I don't know, where I don't have a connection, they don't call me. The offices that know me, they call me. And if I was a casting director and I have two headshots in my hand, say it's you and I, for whatever reason, we are going in for the same role, and they met you at a casting director workshop, and they have not met me. It doesn't matter which one's better. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't matter just strictly looking at who am I going to call in. It makes no difference. I am an unknown quantity, and you are a known quantity. And let's be honest, we all want to keep our jobs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And casting directors are no different. They want to look good.
Yeah. Sure.
They want to keep their job. So they're going to call in the person they know is good. Even if this unknown quantity, he might be the next Laurence Olivier. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll never find out, though. We won't call him in.
Right.
Well, and it's partially because auditions really aren't a great way of figuring out who's going to be best for the job. I mean,
they're absolutely not.
Every other way is probably worse, but
it's the best worst way.
It's the best worst way.
It's the best of the worst.
Least of the evils.
Exactly.
Yes.
But so sometimes you get somebody and they have an amazing audition, but that's as far as they ever go with the character, right? That's as far as you ever get.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes you have somebody who has an amazing audition and it just turns out that they had a good day,
Yeah.
Or sometimes you have somebody who has an amazing audition but is a nightmare to work with. Like all of that stuff you can't know.
Of course.
Yeah.
But so the more that you know somebody, that casting director that has had you in 3 or 4 times, that has a bit of a track record for you, they can say like, okay, this person is less likely to be a secret crack addict. Right?
Yeah.
But do you think you can make those connections through things like classes, mailings, headshots and resumes?
Do I think it's possible? Yes, I think it's absolutely possible. And I will be absolutely honest. There are a lot of people out there whose job it is to take actors' money, and that's it. There are a lot of places out there that will charge you an exorbitant fee, say $300 for a one night. They'll invite everybody and their cousin to come and check you out, kind of a thing.
Right.
And I'm not. You really have to do your homework. You really have to be very, very careful with where you go, who you meet, the other people in the room. I actually was talking with somebody just yesterday about this. If you're the best one in the room, you need to leave because they're bringing you down. You're not bringing them up.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. My
Very
wife
true.
hates this analogy. If you're watching, I love you, honey. If you were running a race against babies, nobody's going to congratulate you when you kick their asses. They're babies. You know what I mean? It's like you really whomped all over those babies. It's just, you should. Yeah. You are the best scrub in the room. You know what I mean? For all intents and purposes. So you got to be really careful.
It's like an Oscar winner doing community theater.
Yeah. Of course, they could be the best person, but they're the best person at that community theater.
Right.
And yes, there are other ways of meeting people. And yes, is it a pay to play? You cannot convince me otherwise. It absolutely, you are paying for an audition. And anybody who really tells you it's a class is blowing a lot of smoke as far as I'm concerned. But that being said, I still am a fan. I see it work. I've seen it work with myself. You have to put in a lot of time and energy. It doesn't happen in an overnight. It doesn't happen after only meeting a few people. But I know it does work.
Okay. I mean, that's the way you're explaining it is swaying me, honestly.
Well, this is the other thing I would say. Back in the day, I came out here about 13 years ago, and that's when casting director workshops were kind of in their infancy and were as controversial as they are today. They were like, people were getting in fights. There were lawsuits happening, and so that's kind of where it started. Back then, however, you could, through your agent or through your manager, get a meeting with the head of casting at Fox. And you would sit down, because I've actually had that happen when I was, here for a couple of months. I was still a baby here. Sat down for 2 hours with this guy. And he had me read a scene, and we chatted. So where are you from? How you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Are you kidding? Nobody has time for that anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And he's not making any extra money by sitting down and talking with Joe Blow from Topeka. You know what I mean? It's like a casting director, this is a way for them to meet you. And they get to meet a large group of people really quickly, all that they can potentially use at some point. And then it's our job to stay on their radar so that they remember us.
I guess the thing that I have a problem with is it's not classes. All actors should be in class all the time. Period. That's just how it should be. But it's the workshops where you showcase a scine, something like that. You're paying hundreds of dollars, and
I know.
You're supposed to be showcased in front of a lot of
There's a group of actors. They rented a theater or something.
Yeah. Well, for example, my very, very first audition ever was at the Roosevelt Hotel for Corey Feldman's dad, who ran a workshop like this.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, wow. Corey ended up suing him down the line.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Oh, that wacky Corey. What else, right?
It was crazy, but it honestly
Corey
all it
Feldman's
was
dad and Corey Haim's dad hanging out right next to him.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. He sued him for taking his money. I don't know, but what this class was basically he was showing videos of Corey's commercial work. and
Yeah.
he showed clips from Corey's movies.
Yeah.
And that's not something
No.
that my parents were very happy about paying $300 for.
No, absolutely.
You can
You know,
watch
you have to get
commercials at
something
home,
out of
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
DVD for
absolutely.
crying out
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I say it, as much as possible. And I know that there's only a certain amount of control that we can really exercise here. In this particular aspect, you really want to do as much homework as you possibly can about that place,
Right. Right.
because, like I said, there are people out there. I mean, it's as creepy as it is to say, the actors. It's easy to take their money. Because we have so much invested, we have so much heart in it, and people will absolutely take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, when I was in high school,
Yes.
was the big thing my high school drama teacher said was, if anybody ever asks you for money up front,
Yes.
it's a scam.
Totally.
Okay, so you do agree with that idea.
Totally agree with that.
Oh, okay. It's just, I thought I was going to ask if maybe you thought that had changed, since we were just talking about how some this pay-to-play stuff can actually be pretty beneficial.
That
So
it actually, and like I said, it is beneficial.
this was back in
You
the early
shouldn't.
90s.
But a funny story about me is my very first agent I did give money to. Right out of college, and I'd been told the exact same thing. Never.
Yeah.
But I was so like, oh God, I hope I get a job out of this.
Yeah.
That of course her $25 like postage fee or whatever. This was in Minneapolis, and I will spare you her name. But that there's the potential of getting something out of that. And there is a certain amount of equation or parallel that is there, because you are meeting a casting director with the potential to get something out of it. Yeah. But there's so much more. There's so much more potential there. You are skipping that agent. You are skipping that manager. You're getting to show them your work. Sometimes several different times over their range and things like that. I agree with you. I just can't say that in this day and age, with the way that our industry works and the way that our industry has changed, that it's as black and white as that anymore.
Okay.
And that makes it hard. And I know that makes it hard because nobody wants to pay for it. And I could not agree with someone
of us
more.
can't pay for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in my opinion, 25, 30, 40, $50, that's the absolute maximum you should ever pay for something like that.
You listening, kids?
Yes. The big giant, we've rented a theater, we're going to put you in a book, which I've encountered those presentational sort of things too. We're going to get
what the
you
Corey Feldman's that
we're
thing
going to
was.
get you new headshots. You're going to be on the way to being an actor. All of that is absolute BS. It should not. They should be sued. Their kids should sue them.
Yeah. Well, he's not in business anymore. Surprise,
Good.
surprise. But you touched a little bit on how acting has changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. How has it changed?
Well, the
how do you
business
see it?
the business about it has changed a lot.
Mhm.
The way we audition, I think, has changed and will continue to change, because with the advent of the internet, it's faster. You can have within minutes, a casting director is getting literally hundreds of submissions for a role. All of it's online. You don't have to have hard copy really at all, pretty much anymore.
Right.
You get a barcode to go in and audition for commercials. It's very creepy.
It's so creepy.
Like Back to the Future, everything's barcodes.
Yeah.
Strange.
I mean, you guys have read 1984, right? I mean, but what's nice is that it's so fast.
Yeah.
And auditions nowadays, it's much more likely that you will audition and never meet the director, the writer, or the producer until you're on set.
Right.
The majority of auditions I get now, I don't even meet anybody other than the casting director and the camera, and that's it. And they will cast me off of that. And then they'll find out if you're a crazy secret crack
Crazy
addict.
crack person.
And if you are, they'll never have you back. But you know what I mean? So there's a certain amount of gamble that they have to take. But
And that kind of goes into what I was going to talk about next is the advent of social media and
Absolutely.
marketing, things like that.
Absolutely.
How important do you think that is for an actor?
I think it's absolutely I think it's really important. Do I think you necessarily have to have 1,000 Twitter followers? And I'm not a big social media person myself. I'm a private guy. I don't like people knowing all my details.
Sure.
But at the same time, I have heard stories of people being cast in a television show. This particular story that I'm thinking of, between two people, two girls. They liked them both. Let's say they were equally good. Let's say they were exactly the same, as a matter of fact. The one that they cast was the one who had a larger presence on social media.
Oh, wow.
And they cast her for that reason. The reason why is because she has a built-in audience.
Yeah.
People will follow her. There's that television show. Shit, my dad says. I told you I was going to try not to swear, but I had to.
It sounds better than bleep. My dad says.
Seriously, like, who are we kidding?
Like, can't use the word. Don't put it in.
All right, we forgive you.
Oh man.
The only reason that show even was created was because of a Twitter, because of a Twitter stream that this guy was putting out that garnered a bunch of followers, that then became a book, that then became a television show. It doesn't matter if it was good or bad. Whatever side of the fence you fall on, it's irrelevant. There was a built-in audience. Of course they're going to make that a television show.
Right.
Because they can count on that X number of percentage people watching that show, no matter what. Just because they already follow them on Twitter.
Well, that's why there's so many movies. That's why that Battleship movie came out last year. There was going to be a Monopoly movie.
Of course,
all kinds of board game movies because of that supposed built-in.
There's a built-in. I remember that from when I was a kid. Oh, sure, I loved that game. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Battleship was kind of boring as a game. So I just
let's be honest, they've made better choices.
Yeah.
From what I understand, the game was more fun than the movie. Is my understanding, but
I also think that auditions are going to change in one other way, and that's because self submissions are becoming much more popular. I do those more than I almost do anything else now, in terms of like private coaching or anything like that. Uploading somebody's audition, and I've gotten people work. Because they've been in Los Angeles, and I've gotten them work in Washington. I've gotten them work in other areas because that's what they do. And the casting director doesn't even have to call you in anymore.
Yeah. It's a lot easier. This whole technology thing is beneficial for us actors.
Yeah. We actually get to garner a lot more control, which is really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're talking with Jamison Haase of LA On Camera. If you have any questions for Jamison, make sure you give us a call at 323-247-7443. 323-247-7443. Is this the Eye of the Tiger playing?
Awesome.
That's awesome.
And Eric, can I tell you something really quickly before we go to break?
Yeah, go ahead.
The song you played at the beginning was the song that my wife processed out to at our wedding.
Wow.
This song was the song that I processed out to at our
Isn't
wedding.
that ironic?
That's spooky.
Yes,
scary.
That first song.
You are literally giving me the chills right now.
Oh.
I might choke up.
Now Rod Serling's going to walk through the door at any moment.
Seriously.
First.
Now I really hope my wife is watching.
This is for your wife.
I love that you came out to Eye of the Tiger, by the way. Very cool.
Yeah.
That first song has been our theme song for 2 years.
Get out.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Guys,
awesome.
call in and talk with Jamison Haase of LA On Camera, laoncamera.com, 323-247-7443. And coming up, we are going to be talking with Joy Meads of the Center Theater Group. Call in and ask her some questions, too. And we'll be back on La La Land on LA Talk Live. Welcome back to Rocky 3.
Yo, Adrian!
Welcome back to La La Land on LA Talk Live. I'm Brett Chapin. That's Engineer Van Eric. We're talking with the very talented Jamison Haase of LA On Camera and the very talented Joy Meads of Center Theater Group. And we have with us guest co-host actor Peter Miller.
Hello.
If you have any questions for any of our guests, give us a call at 323-247-7443.
Let me just squeeze this question in real quickly. I tried to ask you on the break. Do you teach your students about the class structure on a movie set? Like, I've done background work on a couple of things. And one of them, it was a student film, and they were all into the hierarchy, horse hockey type stuff, and they put the extras in a separate little pen away from everybody else. They made sure they ate last.
Did they? Yes,
It's just the silliest thing. And I know
was the lock working on the cage that they put you in?
I'm not sure. I didn't bother to check it because I was so shocked. But
in all honesty, I don't go in for any of that. I think it is exactly what you said it is. It's all crap that we manufacture that human beings manufacture in order to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. And I was just wondering.
And so you treat everybody like a human being.
Yeah.
you want to be nice. Of course you want to be, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, and you're going to be working with all of these people at some point. You don't want to.
Yeah.
And who knows? Like, you might be the extra on this student film, and next week, you know what I mean? 2 years from now, you might be the guest star on the show that I'm going to be an extra on. And who's going to, you know what I mean? Who gets the last laugh out of this? Like,
well, I'd read a
it's
story
just-
about a Sandra Bullock movie.
Yeah.
The extras were told, do not talk to Sandra.
yeah,
Do not.
yeah.
And she approached one of them and struck up a conversation.
Absolutely.
And she caught the
Absolutely.
AD yelling at that poor extra later, and she pulled him aside and said, you do not tell me who I can and can't talk to.
Absolutely.
And I thought
But that's
that was
it's the
amazing.
manufacturedness of the star quality and all of that silliness.
dumbest
You
thing I've
hear
ever
stories
heard,
like that, and I think I know that's a lot of that is just manufactured, and a lot of that is just people, like I said, wanting to feel important or create a greater sense of meaning than there actually is. It's silly.
It is. I just do you prep your students for that kind of stuff because it is out there to some degree, or no?
What I prep them for is to let it all go. It has nothing to do with them. Even if they're the ones separated, if they're the ones who are told never talk to Sandy B, then you go, that's got nothing to do with me. Will I take those words, you know, to heart, or will I go back into that holding area? Sure, but I know it also has nothing to do with me as a person, and that's what you want to hold on to.
Okay.
And I think the other end that you have to practice good professional karma in this
Oh,
business.
seriously,
Yeah.
because you do
Huge,
not
right?
know.
Absolutely.
What goes around comes around.
Indeed.
Jamison Haase of LA
Yes.
on Camera.
Yes.
Where can people find information about LA on Camera? Where's the best place?
You can find our website, which is laoncamera.com. We are also on Facebook, LA on Camera Training Center, and on Twitter at LA on Camera. You can find me all over the place, Jamison Haase. It's 2 A's, S-E. Where else? We're located actually in North Hollywood. We're right on the corner of Burbank and Cahuenga. That's where our current physical location is right now, but we might be moving soon. So
Excellent.
let you know as it changes.
Please do. Good,
Yeah, yeah.
good luck with everything. Break a leg with everything that's
Yes.
going on
Break
with the
a leg,
school.
please.
Leg.
Thank you so much.
And looking forward to hearing more.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks.
Also, excuse me for cutting you butting in, but
sir.
somebody did give a call,
Okay.
but they didn't hang on. They didn't stay on long enough. So just let them know that they can call back if they still watching.
That'd
Okay.
be my fault.
Yeah,
Sorry
guys.
about that.
If you call in, I should probably say this at the top of every show. If you call in, we don't have a screener, so just keep holding on. You'll hear the show in your phone, right?
Yeah. Not only that, you may not hear it right away,
Mhm.
but just still hold the line. We see you. We will get to you, and
Your call
I
is
will
important
let you.
to us.
I will
Yes.
let Brett know that he has a caller.
Yes. Throw something at me and just to signal.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
call in with your questions for Joy Meads of Center Theater Group, 323-247-7443. Joy Meads, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. You know, one of the goals when I started the show is I said, I want to have all the big theaters, representatives from all the big theaters on the show. So this is kind of a nice milestone for the show. I feel like getting the Center Theater Group, which has the Amundsen, the Mark Taper Forum, and the Kirk Douglas.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Center Theater Group and how it got started?
Absolutely. So it was founded in 1967, 45 years ago. So it's been around for a long time as part of the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. And basically what happened, this group of soul activists, philanthropists got together and said, we want to have a sizable arts presence here in LA where we're producing top quality work, right here in our community, so we don't have to look over to New York, right?
Yeah.
And so our group of theaters, we're part of the Music Center Plaza, and our group of theaters is the Mark Taper Forum, which is about a little more than 700 seat theater. We have the Amundsen, which is about 2,000 seats, and those are right in the heart of downtown LA. And then in 2002, we added a third space, which is the Kirk Douglas Theater. It's a 312 seat theater out in Culver City. And I'm really fiercely, I know, isn't that crazy?
that long
It was
ago?
that long ago.
That was crazy.
I know. I'm fiercely proud of the traditions of this theater company. I've been working there for about a year, but I've known about it for much longer. Actually, I had my first encounter with CTG's work at the age of 14 when I was a little theater dork going on a little theater dork trip to LA, to New York.
There's no such thing as a theater dork.
Oh no, I probably own that. I probably own that badge. I'm the geekiest geek, and I love it. And I saw Angels in America parts 1 and 2, and I actually think that seeing that play at that point in my life actually changed the entire course of my life.
At 14,
Wow. Yeah, at 14,
Goodness,
yeah. So I'm a huge believer in the I'll just really quickly tell you that going into that show, so I was actually a really kind of intense evangelical Christian as a teenager. Like the kind of, like, if you had a headache and you told me about it, I might say, can I put my hands on you and pray? That kind of, believer in spiritual warfare. And I had been taught by my church this belief about homosexuality that I thought was very enlightened and very liberal, which is that, like, the kind of love the sin or hate the sin. It's totally fine to, have feelings for people of your same gender. That's fine. God understands. It's just if you act on those feelings you open up, like, the super highway to demon possession of your soul. You mean
it doesn't?
just
well,
partially
turns out
yes.
that's not entirely correct. And anyway, so I sat in the audience of this show and, with kind of like my hands folded and being like, all right, perverts, do what you got. But the play it's so breathtakingly, humane and brilliant, and it's irresistible. I had like this experience of what I like to call radical empathy, which I think is one of the things that the theater does so well, where all of a sudden for the first time I realized that, like, wow, okay, if I'm a person who has romantic feelings for someone in the same gender and I can't act on them, that means I'm destined to life alone. It means I can't have a family. It means I have to spend my life in this horrible battle against myself, and that doesn't seem like something a loving God would do. And that started this period of questioning for me that basically, like, left me a kind of godless whore that I am today. And my senior year in high school, I started the first Gay Straight Alliance at my Catholic high school.
Wow.
Anyway, so it was a profoundly transformative experience. And of course, Center Theater Group was the first theater to commit to doing full productions of parts 1 and part 2 of Angels in America. Mm-hmm. Even though the script of part 2 wasn't fully written at the time they committed, and and that play went on to win the Pulitzer and 2 Tonys and be one of the most groundbreaking and brilliant plays of the latter half of the 20th century. So that's when my knowledge of CTG started.
I got involved.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And CTG has won a number of Pulitzers. In 1994, I think 3 of the 4 plays that were up for the Tony were actually originated at CTG, the Tony for Best Play.
Wow.
And they've continued the tradition of developing and producing just high quality work.
Absolutely.
That really enriches the theater scene. I'm very proud that this next season at the Douglas, we're going to be featuring 2 world premieres of plays by LA-based artists who are both members of our Writers' Workshop. The Nether by Jen Haley and The Royale by Marco Ramirez. And you guys, you have to come see these plays. They're brilliant, they're groundbreaking, they're urgent, necessary, timely, and consummately entertaining. And I couldn't be prouder to be a part of, continuing the tradition that I personally benefited from.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So
I've been lucky enough to see shows at each of the 3 theaters. Can you talk a little bit about the differences of the theaters and the similarities?
Absolutely.
Which one?
The Jamison.
Oh, the Jamison one, yeah.
So the Jamison is our biggest theater. It's a 2,000-seat house, which means that it really, what it does great is kind of shows that have spectacle of size and spectacle, right? So right
Chopper
now
on stage, anybody?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Cameron McIntoshes.
Yes. So right now we have Anything Goes, a production of Anything Goes, featuring the brilliant, like Rachel York, who was like, I feel like she must have, I don't know, come out of her mom's womb, and the doctor must have been like, okay, star. I mean, she's got this radiant quality to her.
Awesome.
And like, I have to say, my personal, like, my favorite, what makes my little heart go pitter pat isn't, you know, the traditional musical, but this production is just, it's so joyful and effervescent.
How
and
can
like,
you not love those like classic 30s,
Cold
40s?
It's the
It's
golden
all
age,
happy,
golden age
exciting,
of
everything.
musicals. Yeah, and it's just
Even when it's sad, it's still like, this is the best sad I've ever seen in my life.
no, and it's like distilled joy. It really is.
Right.
It's so
They're
fun.
only slightly less joyful. That's
Yeah,
all. It is.
exactly.
You can't walk out of that theater frowning. It
No,
just doesn't happen.
No.
It just doesn't
Tapping
happen.
your foot and humming a tune.
So that's the Amundsen, and then the Taper is our medium-sized play. It's a thrust stage, an 800-seat stage, and it's actually designed in the shape of a circle. It's got this completely unique design. So it's a single wall that encloses both like artists and audience, and the audience kind of hugs the stage. It wraps around the stage, and so and there's not a single seat in that theater where you don't feel like you are close to, and you can almost reach out and touch the performers on stage, and so that's a place where we tend to do. We do a variety of work there. Actually, it's somewhere in between the Amundsen and the Douglas. So the theater does have a size to it, and you can get some beautiful sets on stage. I don't know if anybody saw a production of Red, but it seems like it almost organically grew up out of the stage. When
Such great things about that show.
It was really wonderful, and we can get amazing artists. So that was. Alfred Molina and Jonathan Groff,
It's such a fantastic reputation that you have for doing these amazing shows and the work that's done there.
Yeah.
Really from the very, very start, that I don't think I've ever not gone and seen stars in the cast, stars in the house. Everybody's hugging each other, and it's like the most famous family you have ever seen in your life. It's really an amazing experience.
I know it's crazy actually, and coming from I've worked in the professional theater for 10 years,
I mean, honey.
That's a theater accent, is what that is.
That's what that is. But it just kind of blew my mind when I went to my first opening night and I saw like the red carpet and Noah Wiley there with like beautiful woman and gown on his arm, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Because I'm used to theater kind of
The openings are exciting.
New openings are exciting.
But,
But no, it's true. Here in LA, we have access to just incredible wealth of artists, which is amazing. And I'm in new play development, so I get giddy and excited about playwrights, and that is incredible. The dynamism of the local playwriting community here is, I think, unmatched. Maybe New York can maybe rival it, but I think we're going to overtake New York. I really do.
I think so too.
Boss Pierre Carlo and we call it Playwright Christmas or Playwright Hanukkah. Like every other week, it seems like we get an email from one of our favorite writers being like, "Hey, I'm moving to LA. Let's have lunch." So it's really incredible.
And you talked a little bit about the Taper and the Amundsen. What about the Kirk Douglas?
The Douglas. It's personally my favorite of the three spaces.
That was going to be my next question, but I wasn't sure you were going to answer it.
I feel like the Douglas is your child, the way you're saying.
Yeah.
I kind of do too. And they're all my children. You're not supposed to have a favorite for your children, but I kind of do.
Let's be honest, yeah.
So personally, I really love the Douglas. So it's out in Culver City. It's a 300-seat theater. It was built, you guys, with this amazing lobby space. So with the idea that I feel like is, I think this is really the future of where theater is going. That what theater has to offer, our competitive advantage as a form, is that we're not just, renting you a chair for 2 hours to consume an experience, but you're actually joining a community of people gathered for one night only in that space. And there's a dialogue amongst the audience, between artists and audience, that kind of naturally, magically, ineffably occurs over the course of an evening. And so we're really able to capitalize that in a very natural way in the Douglas, because we have this great lobby space, fantastic bar, and seating area. So you can come a little early, hang out before the show, stay afterwards, get a drink with your friends at the bar. We keep the bar open after the show on Friday and Saturdays. We give all the artists drink tickets, so you can be hanging out with your friends and chatting up some of the actors you saw on stage. It's a lot of fun. And the other thing that we're doing is we're creating interactive lobby experiences with each show. So the experience of the evening begins the moment you walk through the door.
That's cool.
Yes.
And we're finding ways for our community to come together and to engage more deeply with the ideas and questions in the play in a way that's kind of playful and fun and easy, and also totally optional. You can walk right past it if it's not your thing. But
Sure.
And then you can also see other people's responses as well. So like we just did Crap's Last Tape, which is this brilliant play by Samuel Beckett. It performed in our production by John Hurt, and it's a play about a man who is at the end of his life is listening to audio diaries that he recorded throughout his life.
Wow.
Yeah, and so part of what we did for that is like over social media, we invited our audiences to record their own like 1-minute audio diaries from the point of view of a kind of pivotal moment of their life in their lives. And then we had a little listening area in the lobby where you could come in and you could listen to other people's
awesome.
That's
memories.
such a great idea.
Yeah, it's fun. And so we're doing kind of fun things like that with all of these shows, because
Careful.
I think one of the things that we have to offer is that like these plays, again, they don't end the moment the curtain comes down. We're hoping that they're plays that are interesting enough, rich enough, that you can take them with you. We're looking for plays that kind of unlock a dialogue that's like ready to happen in our community, but just needs the context and the place. And they give you fun things to talk about with your friends afterwards, and to see what other people thought as well.
Well, I gotta say, I love the fact that you give the artists in the show drink tickets, and you pretty much it almost makes it mandatory that they have to mingle with the crowd afterwards, because most local theaters that happens anyway, but the big places, the Jamison, the Taper, you don't really get that. And, and I think that's really awesome.
And it does. It immediately instills a sense of community, and intimacy.
Yeah.
I mean that, which is fantastic for theater, because you are viewing something that is live. Now, granted, it at that distance, but live, and it makes that a very immediate and intimate kind of moment.
In most of these big places, you have to like camp outside the stage door, and you might get to talk to them if they're not blasting on the car on the way home or whatever. So
it's such an elegant kind of it's kind of an elegant experience, I think, going to the Jamison or the Taper. A lot of theaters in LA you can get away with. And I'm all up for being casual in theater. You can get away with shorts and a t-shirt.
You feel like a grown-up, don't you?
Yeah, you really feel like a grown-up. That's a good way to describe it.
Going out.
Yeah. It's really you make a night of it. You go have dinner at one of the amazing restaurants.
And how many places can you honestly do that? Like even in Los Angeles, there's not that many places that you really can do that at.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to have that.
And the architecture and the area is
whole area is
inspiring,
amazing.
actually, really beautiful.
It really is.
It's a good date night, actually.
Yeah. Guys, go to centertheatergroup.org and plan a date night. I'm sure you have links on there for local restaurants and things like that, right?
You have no excuse anymore.
We are doing an evening. It's New Year's Eve. We're doing like a kind of singles night for Anything Goes, which is it's going to be a fun way.
For all you
think.
singles out there,
yeah,
this one's going out to you.
And and then right now at the Douglas, we're running. It's our own Christmas tradition. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. But it's a version of the Christmas Carol done by Second City, so as interpreted and twisted by Second City. It's hilarious. It's irreverent. There's nothing like sanctimonious or cheesy about it. And we've got like this whole kind of like holiday lounge beforehand. It's a really, really fun evening.
I gotta ask you on that because we were posting your YouTube videos for Center Theater Group, and I saw the one of the Second City doing a song, but it's in the chipmunk voice. So they're singing, and it's 30 seconds of them singing in the chipmunk voice. That's hilarious.
Amazing.
What was all that about? Do you know?
I haven't seen that particular video. They've been generating. One thing that's amazing about those guys is they are not short of ideas, right? So they generate, and like each evening is different. There's actually a little bit of an improv component to the night that I won't spoil right now, but like made me almost pee myself when I saw it on opening.
That's a recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's so funny, and I'm blown away by the endless and infinite creativity of these guys. I have no idea where it comes from, but it's really fun to watch.
Absolutely.
So,
what do you think, Peter? Not bad, huh?
I think it's pretty cool, actually. I want to go to the. I've never been to the Kirk Douglas. Like I said, I've only been to the Jamison, but I would love to check that place out and see some of the stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Like my child on the honor roll. Seriously, if I could have a bumper sticker, I would.
Secret comes out.
So you find a magic lamp on the beach, and rub it, and Genie comes out and he says, "Joy, you can do. Center Theater Group can go anywhere you want in the next 20 years." Where would you like to see Center Theater Group go? How would you like to see it expand? What do you see in the future for Center Theater Group?
James Lipton would ask. That's pretty good.
That is great.
I'm trying.
Well, I think, let me see, 2 answers to that question. One is, I'm a real geek about this idea of the theater is a kind of public square, right? As one of the few places you get to gather, with people you don't know in your community and share an experience and, hopefully talk about it afterwards, have that kind of, feel more connected and glued to people that you don't know, Yeah. And so I think we've like the pilot, the Douglas has been kind of like a test kitchen, like our kind of pilot R&D lab for like how to make some of that, just reinforce some of that culture, to build that culture, to make it clear that that's what people should expect when they come in this space, and to make it vibrant and as dynamic as possible. And I feel like I'm seeing like there's this amazing. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to go to Grand Park since it's reopened. That's right across the street from the Taper and the Amundsen. And it's amazing.
It's awesome what they've done.
It's awesome what they did.
Yeah.
So, like, they had an election night viewing party, right? That I was actually out of town on a workshop, and we were watching CNN, and we kept on seeing like video from the crowd in Grand Park watching the returns.
That's so cool.
It was really cool. Or during the Olympics, they had like a little viewing stand setting up. So set up. So if you work around there on your lunch break, you could come over and watch the Olympics, on a big old TV.
Grant Park, is that east of the complex?
Oh God,
where you would see the city hall and
yes, where you would see the city hall. My spatial intelligence, not so much.
Dirt there, and I was wondering if maybe that was what it was.
And is this where they do the concerts now, grand performances, or is that?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a big square, and they have concerts in there.
And it's a big, beautiful park, big old fountain, a Starbucks if you'd like to get some caffeine. Anyway, and they're doing all of this programming that is, kind of realizing the idea of, Grand Park, the park for everyone,
Yes.
And I would like to see a way for us to realize that culture across the street on our plaza as well. Yeah. I think in a previous age when maybe TV wasn't quite as good, we could it was enough to get people to commit to subscriptions to the theater just to have really great content on the stage, right?
Yeah. Right.
Thought-provoking content. I don't think that's enough anymore because you can watch The Wire at home in your pajamas.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the key to get the people into the theater?
It's about that sense of
bringing that even more of that community in.
That sense of community, make that's in the essence of what we do.
Yeah.
The playwright Terrell McCraney, I'm gonna butcher this, but he he says it more beautifully. But he talks about 2 men gather on a dark night around a fire. He says theater is that fire, that sense of a place that we can go together and, confront things that might scare us or terrify us, imagine our better selves, think about how we are in the world and be thoroughly entertained while we do it. And I think that's a really fundamental human drive. I mean, you see some version of the campfire story, and I think every culture on Earth.
I don't think you butchered that.
Okay.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well,
that was
he's
good.
so much more eloquent than I am, but so I, and our like the physical layout of the Amundsen and the Taper right now, like our lobby space isn't as, wasn't built to be as, wasn't built to be a place that people go and hang out the way that Douglas was, but I think that we can claim that square. I would like to see that happen personally.
Yeah,
that's my vision for the theater.
Between the pavilion and you, there's that space that
Yeah.
And
it's like, it's nice, it's fine, don't get me wrong, but it's like it really could be something.
Yeah, it's there's a great restaurant there. There's a great bar, but you kind of feel like, okay, you're gonna go there, you're gonna get your drink, and you're gonna move on.
And you're gonna leave, right? As opposed to you could be there all afternoon, all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that idea.
Absolutely.
And then continuing the tradition of great work.
People want to find more about Center Theater Group, then go to centertheatergroup.org.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right. That's the one.
Any other, you got your Twitter, CTGLA, at CTGLA.
Yes.
And Facebook.
And we're on Facebook at probably at...
I believe it's facebook.com/Center Theater Group.
I think that's right.
Yes.
Theater with an R-E.
With an
We
R-E.
talked about that earlier.
Spelled
Yeah.
the correct way.
Yeah.
The correct way.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for being here, Joy.
Great. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome time. And thank you to Jamison.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
And thank you, Brett, for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, Peter. This is Peter Miller, co-host search finalist number 3. This is how the voting is going to work, since I didn't explain it at the top of the show real quick. After all our 6 finalists have guest co-hosted an episode, we're going to post their submission videos and their episode on our Facebook page. Our audience is going to go on there and either like the submission video or the their actual episode, and whoever has the most likes is going to be our new co-host.
Oh, that's awesome.
Voting is going to take place between December 23rd at midnight and January 1st at midnight, so I'm going to have to remain sober at midnight for New Year's, so I can make sure that I keep
Sacrifice
track
you have
of
to
these.
make.
Yes,
One of us is
so
getting one heck of a new year, I'll tell you that.
I will make sure I keep very close track at midnight. So once beginning December 23rd, make sure you go on and vote for your favorite co-host. Thanks again, Peter.
Excellent.
Vote for me.
Where can people find information about you if they want to?
I am on Facebook. I turned my phone off before the show, or I would look at the URL.
Oh, okay.
But I have my own personal Facebook page. That's the only page that I do have. Feel free to friend me. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The only way I will ever unfriend you is if you are rude or if you inundate me with spam. One of the two.
That's never a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't. But yeah, you can feel free to find me on my personal page. I'm a friend of Brett's, so you can find me through him. And that's what I have at the moment. I got the Facebook page going, and
Good
it's been
stuff.
working for me.
Keep an eye out for Peter Miller. He's quite an actor in the LA theater scene.
Thanks, Brett.
And I should say a quick shout out to our former co-host, Daisy Egan.
Oh, Tony winner, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
She
cool.
has a show tonight at Rockwell Table and Stages. And she actually announced very recently that she is going to be having a baby.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
this is
For her.
probably yeah.
I read about that show.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably her last show before she gets into human being making. So check it out. Check it out, guys, on daisyegan.com, EAGAN. It's tomorrow night at Rockwell Stages. I believe it starts at 5:30. And also, I should talk about our sponsor for today is Theater Palisades. Right now, they are playing Enchanted April. Let's start the song. What the heck? Right now they're playing Enchanted April. It's going to be going from November 9th through December 16th. Find out any information about that at theaterpalisades.com.
It is a wonderful show. I saw it.
I saw it too. Isn't it good?
It is
These guys really know
quite
what they're
good.
doing over
Great
there.
performances in the show.
Absolutely. Those guys really know what they're doing over there, and I'm not just saying that because I work on the marketing for the theater. They really no, they really. I think it's a theater that I would go to continuously, whether or not I was involved in there.
Yeah.
So check it out, guys. Next week on the show, we are going to be speaking with the amazing Los Angeles theater and film actress Deborah Puett. She is a third-time guest on the show. And we're very excited to be talking to her. She's got so much going on with her career, and she just worked on the new Wizard of Oz movie and just all kinds of things going on. Yeah, good stuff. And our guest co-host number 4 is going to be Victoria Perez, host and actor, and she has done her own podcast, kind of similar to this one as well. So we're looking forward to talking to her. Until then, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk, Twitter at twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. If you would like to be a guest, send us an email to lalalandtalk@gmail.com. And you can send us an email at that address just to say hi and let me know what you had for dinner. I don't care. I need people to talk to. And this is me killing another 20 seconds until the song ends. So anybody want to get some shout outs?
If I knew you were going to kill something, I'd have brought a gun or something.
Oh, what are you going to do?
I should also say that I think I mentioned 2 out of our 3 shows, but right now at the Taper, we've got Other Desert Cities by John Robin Bates, LA playwright.
Check it out, guys. La La Land, LA Talk Live. We'll see you at the top.